Welcome to the Red Port Podcast. Today, unfortunately, Lonnie was a little busy and was not able to make it for this week's episode. So this will be a solo blind tasting episode. Now, we are going to be tasting this Maker's Mark collector's box right here. This is the Generation of Proof, and this was released around 2022. And I know the local liquor store around us still has a couple left, so I don't know if they've been sitting for that long or anything like that, but this is a pretty unique little collector's edition here. Now, we have a bottle from 2019, 2020, and 2021. Now, these are all different stave profiles and whatnot, so they kind of took their best private selects that they can think of at the time and kind of did this nice little 350 milliliter bottle or 375 milliliter bottle collector's edition. Now, it's a nice box, great presentation, and we all know Maker's Mark is pretty good. They've been doing this for a while, so this is nothing new for them. So this isn't going to be like wildly different, I think. It's just going to be which year was the best. So, real quick on the packaging here, they have a character map on the side here, and that goes and tells us a little bit about where they kind of land on the spiciness, the richness, the sweet, and they put light bright, kind of interesting. On the back here, each bottle has tasting notes to match as well. So we're going to ignore those for now to not skew our blind tasting. They have great little latches on the side here and open them up. So let's go over the stave profiles for 2019. Now, the 2019 Private Select has 2 seared French cuvées, 4 roasted French mochas, and 4 roasted French spice. This one's coming in at 108.6 proof, and this is interesting. So the 2019 Private Select dated May 2022. Let's see what year 2020 brought us. So the 2020 Private Select is 3 baked American Pures, 3 seared French cuvées, 2 Maker's Mark 46s, and 2 toasted French spices, coming in at 109.9 proof, also dated in May of 2022. So that's probably when they just bottled all of these. They've had them sitting around for a while to make this nice little presentation and release. And this is also called the Final Chapter. So I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if they did this prior, like how many years prior they did this, but this was apparently the final one released in 2022. So the 2021 Private Select stave profile is 1 baked American Pure, 2 seared French cuvées, 4 Maker's Mark 46s, and 3 toasted French spices at 109.5 proof. So let's pull up this bottle again, actually. So kind of similar on the 2020s. The proof points are 0.4 difference. So that is probably the 2 that I think are going to be the closest on my nice little prediction here. I'm guessing, there we go. I'm guessing that the 2019 will be a little bit more of a standout and go from there. Now, the character map on the side here. It says the 2021 is between spicy and light bright. The 2019 is more on the dark, deep, rich, but also slightly spicy. And the 2020 is between sweet and dark, deep, rich. So we'll kind of lean on those a little bit, I'm assuming, but we are going to ignore the tasting notes in the back. So I'm going to go fresh crack all these bottles, and I'm going to have my wife do the pours for me. Now, to keep this as neutral as possible, we're not going to put any stickers on these. She's going to write down what year matches which color. So we have a yellow sticker, a purple sticker, and a green sticker. So she's going to do the pours and then mark what year relates to what sticker, so that at the end we can look at the results and go from there. So we got wifey to pour our 3 blinds here. The paper is behind me within the shelves that shows which ones are which. So let's dive into it and see which one of these 3 years is the best one. So there are no age statements on here that I see. I'm not gonna look all that hard, but let's dive into it from my right to left here. So this first pour here has a really good caramel rich oakiness to it, hint of that char, maybe and a touch of vanilla at the back end. So I think this is it's not really sweet, it's not harsh. It's kind of like your quintessential bourbon like notes with a little bit of standout of the oaky and caramel. So on the palate on this one definitely has a little bit of that oakiness following in, a little bit of spiciness, kind of like an allspice or a baking spice. It's not really cinnamon to me. Oh, first pour, so it heats in a little bit. Yeah, that one is pretty good. I think that's exactly what I expect out of a Maker's Mark. It's got that nice little rich oakiness and that cinnamon. Well, not really cinnamon. It's like a spiciness to it as well. I think that one right there is a traditional type of Maker's Mark. I don't think that is outstanding in any sort of way. Since they're trying to sell these as like these are private selects and whatnot, I don't think that one really stands out that much. But let's see on these other ones here. So we'll go from the middle one. On the nose, this one's definitely a little bit different. Now, it definitely has a lighter oak smell to it. Not faint, like the oak is just physically lighter in a way. Getting a little bit more spice and a little more vanilla. I'm not getting that caramel like notes on the nose. That one to me is definitely more cinnamon-esque. I think it's got more of that oaky cinnamon-like flavors with a faint touch of fruit on the back end. I'm definitely not getting like vanilla or anything like that. I think this is very, very different pour than the first one. Yeah, I'm sticking with that one. I think for me, I think that one's a little bit better. We're going to move that one up a little bit. I think it's more cinnamon-like spice, where the first one was more baking spice-like. And I think the first one had a little bit more vanilla on it, and this one I think was a little bit more dried fruit with that cinnamon as well, and a faint oakiness as well. So I think this one's going to be edging out the first one to start. So let's try the third one here. Now, with these proofs all being relatively close to the same, around that 108 to just shy of 110 mark, I'm not getting a lot of ethanol burn on any of these. I think the flavors are definitely standing out a little bit more. Okay, this one's actually a little bit harder to get my notes on. This one is a richer oak, but not charred. It's got a little bit more just that oaky, nice smell to it. I'm getting a little bit of fruit on the nose. Yeah, definitely getting a little fruit on that. I think this one's a little bit more bland on the when nosing it. I don't think there's any outstanding there's no outstanding wow, that just smells amazing. It's just got a nice little oakiness to it, a little bit of dried fruit. That's all I'm getting on the nose here. Wow, this one is way sweeter on the front. Way sweeter. This one definitely sweeter on the so definitely getting more like apple on the note right off the bat. Definitely sweet, and there's a little bit of spice kicking back at the end here. Yeah, so on the palate for this one, the apple is coming very forward on this one, and that like fruity, appley like notes. There's a hint of cinnamon on the back end, and then a touch of vanilla as well. I think I'm gonna have to revisit 2, but I think 3 is gonna be the winner for tonight. Glass number 2 here definitely has way more spice forward and a little bit of sweetness on the back, where glass 3 has way more fruity and sweet flavors right up front and a very faint spice that lingers. And I think I kind of like that a little more. I think in this instance, for me, that sweetness is very welcoming, and that spiciness towards the end that just lingers, but it's not super powerful, really just gives that finish a little bit longer of a better taste. So I think I like that a little bit more. Let's just go back to number 1 real quick. Actually, number 2, I thought it was going to be high ranked, but after going back down the line in reverse, I'm taking number 2 out. It's great. Let's make that clear. I think this is a great Maker's Mark, but I think in the instance of these 3, it is different, and I don't like it as much. I think the other ones are a little bit more inviting than this one is. This one is very powerful on the spice, when I go back to it. And I think the other ones are a little bit sweet. Well, Glass 3 is a little bit sweeter. Glass 1's a little bit more oaky in a way, but it's not as strong on that spice. It gives a nice hint there. So we're going to put Glass 2 off to the side here. Ooh, Glass 1. Now that it's opened up a little bit and I've had it for a little bit here, I think this one, that gave me a really unique, that dried fruit came in. It was like an oaky dried fruit. That was good. Okay. I still think 3 is going to be the winner here. So it's definitely between Glass 1 and Glass 3. Yeah, I'm going to go Glass 3 here. For me, I think this sweeter, lingering spice at the end is a little bit nicer. I think a very close second is Glass number 1 with that oaky and dried fruit as well. I think it balanced really good. But what's crazy to me is that they have similar notes but in a different way. So what I mean by that is Glass 3 really was sweet and fruit forward with that spice towards the end, where Glass 1 to me had a little bit more of that oaky and spiciness and very faint spice. It's a little bit more on the oakiness forward, but then on the back end was that sweetness. So it gave you a different roller coaster ride as you were enjoying the pour. So I think Glass 3, Glass 1, and then Glass 2 in the order of that. So let's see which one won. Now I'm going to do a guess here because we have the character map of which one's a little bit sweeter and which one's not. So judging off strictly the character map here, we have 2020 is a little bit more on the sweet side. So I think Glass 3 is going to be 2020. I think Glass 1 will be 2021 because it's between spicy and light bright. So I believe it's that one. And I think 2019 is that deep, dark, rich, and spicy. I think that kind of stands out. So in order, Glass 1 to my right, I'm going to go with 2021, 2019 in the middle, and 2020 on the far left, Glass number 3. So before we see if we are right here, actually let's do that and then we'll go over the tasting notes that are on the back of the box. So the results are in. Yellow. Where is yellow? Yellow is the middle one, is 2019. Pink is first, and that is 2021, and green is 2020. Yeah, so I have to go back and look at what I said. I should have wrote that down, but 2020 is definitely the last one, green here, and I liked that one the best. So out of 19, 20, and 21, I liked 20 the most. I think this was the better of the 3 pours. So we have a little bit left in each glass, enough to do one little bit tasting, and we're going to read the notes that are on the back of the box here and then go through and try to match up and see how accurate those notes are. So 2019 is yellow. All right, 2019, the middle cup here. The tasting notes that they have is our selection yields strong cocoa notes with a bold rush of spice. Now, I'm not getting that cocoa notes. That bold rush of spice, 100%. That is all there. They are very accurate with that. And oddly enough, that's all they say. This has got to be the least amount of tasting notes I've ever seen. They definitely have some better character notes or tasting notes on 20 and 21 than they do on 2019. So 2019, cocoa and bold spice. Let's see. Definitely bold spice. I'm not getting a ton of that cocoa. I think it's slightly more sweet than cocoa, but I guess with the right palate, I could see it. Like, it's faintly there, but it's not my outstanding notes outside of spice. So let's try 2020, which is green. And that's the one I liked the most. So the tasting notes here, they have our selection has a zesty aroma of fall apples. I agree with that. Savory notes of clove and salted caramel on the palate. This finishes long with bright notes of fruit. Yeah, that one is pretty accurate. I cannot disagree with that. Yeah, on the nose, I'm definitely getting that apple-like nose and that fruitiness. So the clove and salted caramel on the palate, I don't disagree with that at all. I think it's a little bit more fruit forward And the fruit does, so it says bright notes of fruit are long lasting. And I don't disagree with that. I think the fruit comes in right off the bat for me on the palate, but it does linger throughout the pour as well. But the clove and caramel, or that's like that spicy caramelness, comes in right after the sweetness. So it's hit you with this little bit of sweetness, goes right into that spicy and caramel like flavors, and then sweet to finish as it lingers on. So I think that is a pretty accurate tasting. That's why I liked 2020 the best. I think this was actually the best pour of these by, I say 2021, which would be the first one, was the closest, but I think it was enough where I was like, yeah, there's not really a question. Yeah, right off the bat, that fruit stands out. I think that is great. So 2021 tasting notes here. They have, gotta move a little bit here. The profile has a confectionery aroma, like confectionery cooking, baking, with strong vanilla notes and complementary rich flavors of, man, I might need cheaters, pralines and pecans on the palate. The finish is long and intense with notes of citrus and a savory finish. I did not get that on these. The vanilla notes I definitely got the vanilla notes for sure. Okay, coming back to it, I can see that confectionery aroma, like almost flour-like, kind of like you are starting to, bake a nice cake. I can kind of see that now that it's been sitting out a little bit longer. I have to search for it though. So maybe reading it is kind of putting it together, but I had to search for it. So I think that one I think it's accurate. Once I read it, I was like, yeah, okay, I can see it now, but I still think a little bit oaky for me as well on the nose. So they have pecan on the palate. I'm not really getting that, but I'm definitely getting a savory finish as they noted here. I'm not getting a ton of citrus, but I think the 2021 being used in an old fashioned with a nice fresh orange peel in there would help bring those flavors out. I think it's extremely faint if it is there for me. So I think this would actually be complemented by an old fashioned really well. That's actually probably the one that should be used in a cocktail. With intense notes of citrus. See, to me, it's not intense. They say intense notes of citrus. It's not. To me, it was a little bit oaky, a little bit sweet, but I wouldn't say it was necessarily like that acidic, citrusy like flavors, but all were very good. So we're going to rate this as 2020 was the best, 2021 was second, and 2019 was last. So being they were all bottled in May, I don't know if the age statements are the same or if they were resting in a stainless steel pot for a while, or if they were truly aged a little bit longer. Now, judging by the colors here, because we do have 2019 from left to right. Well, from my right to your left. I don't know if the age statements are any different. The colors all look very similar, but these are all wildly different pours. So if y'all got a chance to go get one of these, I do see them out there still. Go out, find some single barrels, find some small batches. If you can even pick one of these up still, which I do see in my area a little bit, go find one, because I think especially getting these 375 milliliter bottles, I think is a great way to, you're not committing to a big 750 mil or even a liter bottle, but you can try these different expressions and learn a little bit about each one and help pick the notes up on the palate and on the nose and further your journey as well. So go hunt those single barrels, the good ones, of course. Go hunt those small batches. And until next time, cheers, y'all.